For nearly 3 decades now, one question has been terrifying movie lovers everywhere. And with a brand new chapter just around the corner, it feels like the perfect time to unmask every single Ghostface, dig into every motive, and break down all the rules in the entire Scream saga.
That's it. The phone call that kicked everything off. This one simple question became the chilling signature of a whole new kind of killer. This wasn't someone who just stalked you from the shadows. No, this killer played a twisted game with you. And if you lost your life.
So before 1996, slasher movies kind of had a formula, right? But Scream just flipped the whole script. This was a horror movie about horror movies. The characters, they'd seen all the classics, they knew all the tropes, and they were trying to use that knowledge to survive. But here's the kicker. The killer knew all the rules too.
Okay, so everything starts in this little town, Woodsboro. And it's a town that's already haunted by the brutal murder of Maureen Prescott. Her daughter Sidney is just trying to cope when, bam, a new killer in that Ghostface mask shows up. And then, in a move that absolutely nobody saw coming, the movie kills off its biggest star, Drew Barrymore, in the first 10 minutes. It was a total statement. In this movie, no one is safe.
The first 3 films, when you really boil it down, are the story of one of horror's greatest survivors, Sidney Prescott. See, the killings aren't random at all. They are a direct, deeply personal attack on her. It forces her to confront the trauma and all the secrets of her family's past, over and over and over again.
So, the first film throws us right in with this core group of characters. You've got Sidney Prescott, our final girl, her boyfriend Billy, who, let's just say, seems a little too into scary movies, and of course, the unforgettable Randy Meeks, the film geek who basically becomes our guide to the rules of survival.
And that leads us to the big question that absolutely everyone was asking back then. In a town just full of suspects, who was really hiding behind that iconic mask?
And here's the crucial twist, the one that set the stage for the whole franchise. There wasn't just one killer. Nope, it was a 2-person job, Sidney's own boyfriend Billy and his best friend Stu. Billy's motive, it was pure revenge because Sidney's mom had an affair with his dad, and it turns out they were the ones who murdered her a year earlier too.
So in Scream 2, our survivors pack up and head to college, hoping for a fresh start. But, of course, a copycat killer shows up inspired by Stab, the new hit movie based on their tragedy. This time, the theme is all about sequels, where the main rule is that everything has to be bigger and way bloodier.
And yup, just like any good sequel, the movie upped the ante. It set this new pattern for the franchise. I mean, 1 Ghostface is scary, sure, but 2? That's a whole conspiracy.
This time, our killers were Mickey, a film student who was obsessed with the idea of blaming violence on movies, and Nancy Lumis, who was posing as a local reporter. But her motive was way more personal. She was Billy's mother, and she was looking for some good old-fashioned revenge for the death of her son.
For what was supposed to be the finale, the story just goes full-on Hollywood. The killings actually move to the set of Stab 3, and the line between what's real and what's fiction gets so blurry you can barely even tell them apart anymore. This is really the franchise's meta-commentary at its absolute peak.
And this is where we get the biggest bombshell of the whole trilogy. The killer is Roman Bridger, the director of Stab 3, who, get this, turns out to be Sidney's secret half-brother. And he orchestrated everything from the very beginning. He even manipulated Billy into starting the original massacre. He was the first domino to fall.
Of course, you can't talk about Scream without talking about the rules. I mean, this is what made the series so smart and so much fun, right? It literally gave the audience a playbook for how to survive a horror movie.
Randy Meeks laid it all out for us. For the original film, it was all about avoiding sin, basically. For the sequel, it was about escalation. And for the finale of a trilogy, well, all bets are off. The killer is practically a superhero, no character is safe, and the past is always the key to everything.
So after a whole decade of silence, Ghostface came back. But this time, the target wasn't just Sidney. It was a new generation of teens in Woodsboro, and it forced our original heroes to come back and face a killer who was obsessed with updating the franchise for modern audiences.
This new era is really defined by one word, the requel. It's not just a sequel, and it's not a reboot, it's this hybrid of both. You bring back the legacy characters to pass the torch to a new cast, and you get this blend of nostalgia with fresh stakes. It's a trend we see all over the place these days.
The motives really evolved with the times, too. The killer in Scream 4 wanted to create a real-life remake just to get famous. Then Scream 5 gave us these toxic fans who hated the new Stab movies and decided to write their own bloody version. And finally, Scream 6 brought it back to family revenge, but on a scale we had never seen before.
Now, at the center of this new saga, we have the Core 4. It's this group of survivors who have somehow managed to do the impossible, live through 2 Ghostface massacres. We have Sam Carpenter, who's secretly Billy Loomis's daughter, her sister Tara, and the Meeks Martin twins, Mindy, our new rule keeper, and Chad.
But their survival has come at a huge, tragic cost. The new generation learned the hardest rule of a requel firsthand. Absolutely no one is safe. In Scream 5, we lost one of the original heroes, Dewey Riley, which proved that this time around, the plot armor was off for everyone. This new chapter also proves that Ghostface isn't just a small-town problem anymore. After surviving another Woodsboro massacre, the Core 4 fled to New York City for safety, only to find out that the killer was more than happy to take a bite out of the Big Apple.
And the killers in this new era have been just as twisted. Scream 4 gave us Sidney's own cousin Jill, who was just desperate for fame. Scream 5 had a pair of toxic Stab superfans. And Scream 6 delivered this shocking reveal: an entire family, a detective and his 2 kids, all seeking revenge for Richie's death in the last movie.
And that brings us right up to today. The Core 4, Sam, Tara, Mindy, and Chad, they survived the New York attacks. They are bruised, they are battered, but they are alive. The only question now is, for how long?
I mean, as the movies themselves have told us time and time again, a good story never really ends. It just waits for the next chapter.
Because if there's one unbreakable rule, it's that the killer always comes back for one last scare. So now you're all caught up. The only question left is, who's going to be next?